Hi, I'm Sweetie Abochi. Welcome to the AM News. Now, President John Dramani Mahama is taking a tough stand 1 week after his inauguration as President of the Republic of Ghana. And he assures the people of Bawku and its environs of doing everything within his might to restore peace to the area. He's set to announce key security appointments this week, whose task will include permanently ending the decades-old Bawku conflict. The announcement is coming on a day the president met with the heads of state security agencies before he left Bawku to begin his peace mission. Now, addressing residents in Bawku, President Mahama assured them of his commitment to restoring peace in the area. And his visit comes on the heels of a violent clash last week, which claimed 2 lives, raising the death toll to 41 since the conflict resurfaced in October 2024. Our regional correspondent, Albert Sori, summarizes the situation in the following report.
The Bawku chieftaincy conflict between the Kusasi and Mamprusi has a long, complex history dating back to the 1930s. The recent resurgence of the conflict, starting in 2021, has resulted in hundreds of deaths and had devastating consequences for the town's economy and residents. The once thriving town in the Upper East region has been reduced to a shadow of its former self, with a dusk to dawn curfew and a ban on motorcycle riding imposed by the government. The conflict has severely impacted key sectors such as health, education, and commerce. Many businesses have closed due to safety concerns, and schools struggle to remain open. Despite the challenges, Bawku successfully held a peaceful election last December. However, sporadic violent incidents continue to occur, indicating that the conflict is far from over. Past governments have attempted to manage the situation, but their efforts have been insufficient to bring lasting peace. This new John Mahama-led NDC government will face the daunting task of resolving the conflict. It remains to be seen, however, what new measures this government will adopt.
President Mahama is set to announce key security appointments this week, like I said earlier, and this will include permanently ending the decades-old conflict in Bawku. But let's move on to other stories now. The Chieftaincy Minister, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, has been detailing what the previous government has done to resolve the crisis so far, as he advises against appointing a regional minister from the 2 feuding factions.
At one point, I was moving so smoothly, getting all parties involved in talking. Indeed, I went to my own old man father, Abugrago Azigri Azoka, the second of Bawku, the Bawku Naba. I also went to the Nairi and also went to the palace, and I got the 2 talking to me. It was difficult before I came into the ministry for them to share their innermost thoughts. But they were talking, and that gave me the opportunity to present a paper to Cabinet, and for Cabinet to find a solution that takes the politics out of it. Because that's how I found out that politically there were undertones. And so me being a politician as well, but we must take ourselves and give it back to the chiefs. And so we then handed over the responsibility of finding the peace led by Otumfo, the Asantehene, Otumfo to the second.
What do you think this government should not be doing in trying to deal with the Bawku issue?
First of all, don't appoint a native of the Bawku or the Kusak to be the regional minister. That's number one. Don't do it. It's emotional subject, and the native always, if you are not careful, have some emotions with it. I almost succeeded. Unfortunately, somehow Abagri found himself in Bawku, and that erupted before we left office. Very sad, very, very sad. That would have been my most key achievement at the ministry. I did it. When I look back, I just don't know what happened just before the election, and the gentleman found himself in Bawku.
Now, the plans of the NDC government to reintroduce the regional and district tribunals to handle criminal cases is stoking controversy. At the Appointments Committee on Monday, Attorney General and Minister for Justice designate Dr. Dominic Ayine defended the plan outlined in the NDC's 2024 election manifesto. According to Dr. Ayine, John Mahama's vision is to ensure the public have a direct role to play in the criminal justice system. Take a listen.
In terms of Article 25(1), it is provided that justice emanates from the people and will be administered in their name, in accordance by the judiciary and in accordance with the Constitution. So it creates, 142 creates the regional tribunals, which have coordinate criminal jurisdiction with the High Court, all right, in all respects. And then it says that Parliament may by law establish such courts and tribunals, that is inferior courts and tribunals, as it deems fit. Okay. Now, to the question why we want to bring back the public tribunals. We want to go back and align with the internal logic of Article 125, Clause 1, that there must be participation by ordinary people in the administration of justice. If you recall, all the tribunals, district tribunals, circuit tribunals, regional tribunals, had a chairperson or chairman and two who was mandatorily required to be a lawyer, and two other persons who were non-lawyers selected from the community. So aside the traditional jury system that allows ordinary citizens to participate in the administration of justice in a limited fashion, the PNDC, in its wisdom, broadened public participation in the administration of justice through the tribunal system.
Now, Dr. Dominic Ayine also allayed fears the tribunals will act like they did in the revolutionary era, but will operate in accordance with the law and respect the constitutional rights of all accused persons.
The empirical evidence for, a report dated very close to the first quarter of 1992 would have been from the pre-constitutional, era, when the public tribunals were administering revolutionary justice in the context of PNDC Law 1. Now, if you look at PNDC Law 1, there was no human rights chapter. That was the Grundnorm. That was the Constitution, the fundamental law of the land at the time. There was no human rights chapter. In resetting Ghana, we will reset it in accordance with the 1992 Constitution. And the 1992 Constitution is very clear, that the sovereign power of Ghana rests in the people of Ghana, in whose name and for whose welfare the powers of government should be exercised in accordance with this Constitution. Governmental powers includes the powers exercised by the judiciary of our land. That includes the public tribunals. I believe that it is not your view, honorable member, that the public tribunals would not or are not part of the judiciary. They are part of the chapter on the judiciary. And so they will be bound by Chapter 5, the human rights provisions, and the entire Constitution, guided by the directive principles of state policy in Chapter 6. And so the proposal in our manifesto is to re-establish the regional tribunals with criminal jurisdiction that is, coordinate jurisdiction with the High Court. And then we will have the circuit tribunals in all the districts, in all the, the regions, and then also the district tribunals that will also dispense justice in the various districts of our country. And I believe that if they are being regulated, and my proposal or my thinking going into this office is that we will enact a Public Tribunals Act. That will be comprehensive, and that will, contain restrictions in terms of the conduct, of the affairs of the tribunal.
The executive chairman of the Jospong group of companies, Dr. Joseph Sian Ajipong, has reaffirmed his company's commitment to collaborating with the government to create jobs for Ghanaian youth and drive national development. Speaking at the 2025 Jospong Leadership Conference opening ceremony at the Pentecost Conference Center in the Central Region, Dr. Ajipong pledged his company's support for the government's vision of a 24-hour economy. Central Regional Correspondent Eric Asante has more in this report.
This year's Jospong Leadership Conference is on the theme, Transforming Through Leadership. The conference seeks to inspire business sustainability, foster positive work ethics, and explore leadership's role in driving impactful change. The executive chairman of the Jospong group of companies, Dr. Ajipong, addressing staff members at the opening ceremony, pledged his company's support for the government vision of a 24-hour economy.
President Mahama brings hopes, and his ideas and the manifesto that has been clearly defined brings hopes. We're going to work with government in partnership in the development of this country as we create jobs for our youth and support the green economy of this country. We also share the ideas of the 24-hour economy, and so all our trucks have been branded 24-hour economy. We are a company that will work with government, and so we are committed and we want to pledge our full support to every endeavor and every programs of government, and we humbly want to say that we pledge our sincere commitment to the development of this country as far as green economy is concerned, and in other areas that will create opportunities for creating jobs for our youth.
The annual event brings together speakers to discuss the vision and focus of the company in the upcoming year. Dr. Ajipong called on the participants to embrace leadership with a purpose.
This year's conference theme, or the theme for this year's conference, is Transformation Through Leadership. And it captures our mission to improve lives and inspire progress. It challenges us to lead with a purpose, driving meaningful change with our organization in the communities that we touch. Transformation is not just about growth. It is a profound evolution, a bold reimagining of how we think, operate, and influence the world. As John Maxwell wisely said, and I quote, "The higher you want to climb, the more you need leadership. The greater the impact you want to make, the greater your influence needs to be," unquote. These words remind us that transformation requires courage, resilience, and unwavering ownership of our actions. As we exploit this theme, let us remember that transformation begins within us, with the vision to dream big and the strength to overcome challenges and the ability to inspire others.
A key highlight of the event was a presentation by renowned marketing professor, Professor Robert Ebo Hinson, on the topic, Ethical Leadership and Corporate Responsibility. He stressed the importance of ethical leadership in building trust.
So the thing with ethics is that whether it's marketing, human capital, supply chain, finance, even artificial intelligence, if you have ethical modes of doing your business, you do better. For instance, in marketing, you don't missell. You don't go and make promises you know you can't keep. In supply chain, you are very careful about where you source your raw materials from. Because if you are sourced from a country that's notorious for child slavery and child labor, you are not being ethical. When it comes to finance, there are ethical rules to follow. When it comes to the whole green and sustainability agenda, so an ethical posture helps you to do better in all the functional disciplines of business today, whether it's marketing or finance or human capital. So, like I said earlier, more ethics, more wins. And especially in a new technological era, AI also brings new ethical dilemmas. So you need to master what the requirements are in an AI age so you can do better.
Some motorists in Kumasi have welcomed the NDC government's intentions to reintroduce road tolls. The erstwhile NPP government abolished the tolls to make way for the introduction of the electronic levy and other revenue generation forms. However, during the vetting in Parliament, Finance Minister-designate Dr. Kesola Toforson hinted at plans by the new government to scrap the e-levy to reintroduce the tolls. Some motorists in Ghana's second-largest city support the decision, but called for further dialogue and consideration of e-levy's impact on the economy.
Ghanaians, we don't pay tax. So for each citizen to pay tax, there has to be a road tax. The e-levy, me in particular, the e-levy, that shouldn't be cancelled, because government, the place where government gets its taxes from is only through harbour. But the e-levy that Nanado brought, people were paying direct tax to government, and government was using those money for roads.
It will come to help, because they said they will remove the e-levy. If they remove the e-levy, they should bring back the road toll. So for me, there is good.
Road toll, I
wasn't happy with the past government when they scrapped the road tolls. Road tolls help the hawkers. When the Burkinabés come here, they transport their goods without paying the tolls.
Oh, road toll there, because
if it comes back, it would really help. We need revenue from the tolls to reconstruct our roads. We must ask whether the e-levy was used for its intended purpose. If it helped, then they shouldn't abolish it. The e-levy did not help us.
If something has been cancelled, it's favoring the country. Why do you want to bring it back? And I don't know. I don't think it's really e-levy. Everything should clear. But we are tired of paying so many things. Road toll, COVID levy, e-levy. In fact, road toll, we don't see any better thing they do on the road. I don't know what they are using that particular money for. Our roads are always bad. So it's been cancelled. Let's maintain it.
The two are related. The number of people who pay road toll and the number of people who pay e-levy. But if you are removing e-levy and then you are bringing road toll, we would have to get figures to make the comparison. How much were they earning the e-levy? How much are they going to earn for the road toll levy and bring the... so if we can get figures, how much was the government getting? What was the effect of the road toll on our economy? What was the effect of the e-levy on our economy?
Now, it was an emotional farewell for 10-year-old Lisa Laye, whose battle with leukemia touched countless hearts. Family, friends, and her classmates gathered at Lashibi Funeral Homes to pay their final respects to the young girl. She yearned to return to school, but sadly passed away while undergoing a bone marrow transplant in South Africa. Emmanuel Jivenu has more in this story.
Lisa's dream of returning to school to join her friends could not happen. Her mates are here to pay their final respects. Their tributes moved many to tears.
Nicknamed Malaye by her friends and teachers, Lisa's calm and warm spirit made her truly unforgettable. Lisa, you will forever live in our hearts.
Her mother, Georgia Thompson, described her as a shining star who touched countless lives, even in her death.
Your stay on earth was short, but you gave me so much memories to live with. They will remain with me forever. You touched a lot of lives. Even in your death, you are still touching lives. Because of the star you are, your story has been heard all over the world, and has created awareness for others. I know for a fact that this is what you wanted to do. Sleep well, my sunshine.
Diagnosed with leukemia, she embarked on a journey to South Africa for a life-saving bone marrow transplant thanks to the generosity of businessman Ibrahim Mahama, who funded her treatment. Her dream of becoming a pediatric oncologist and helping others fight cancer is now an inspiration to many.
Only 10 years. But Lisa lived effectively. And I can testify of it.
Although her life was short, Lisa's story will forever live on in the hearts of those who knew her. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Accra.
Oh, may the soul of Lisa rest in peace. And that takes us to a business update now with Benjamin Akapo.
Welcome to the world of business. Now, tax consultant Francis Timoriboy has described the government's tax to GDP ratio of 18% for 2025 as overly ambitious, but says its feasibility will depend on resetting the country's tax system. According to him, the current tax to GDP ratio of 14% falls short of the global minimum requirement of more than 15%. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Timoriboy said, although the target may be achieved, its viability will depend on enforcing compliance and engagements.
It is very ambitious, but I think it's doable because currently we are doing around 14%. And I heard him saying that even the latest number has dropped from 14.1% in 2023 to around 13.8%.
Yeah.
And if you look at over the period, 2019 we did around 13.1. 2021 we did 13, and then 2022 we did 13.1. Whilst all other African countries are doing better, they are above the global minimum. IMF says that for you to describe yourself as a country which is able to govern itself with internally generated fund, your tax to GDP ratio should be more than 15%. And for several years, we are just below 15. If you take Nigeria, which is doing 7-8%, and for them, they have too much oil to rely on. So tax revenue is not a problem for them. We are not doing the best. So I think that the 18% is a very ambitious target. It will depend on the type of reforms he brings, the type of tax policy that he introduced during his term, and then how he's able to enforce compliance through engagement with the relevant stakeholders without incurring the wrath of, the business community. At the end of the day, if you achieve voluntary compliance, that is what modern tax administration is. So we really expect that he really reset the tax system. Me personally, I've been advocating for a special tax regime for the informal sector. They contribute largest to the economy, yet we are unable to identify them and even tax them.
Yeah.
So we need some reforms in the tax system, and I think that if he's able to do that within his tenure, he'll be able to achieve, even if he's not able to achieve the 18 to 20% as the GRA themselves have in their strategic plan for 2023 to 2027, he will be able to raise it above the minimum threshold that we have currently. At least we should go beyond 15%.
And the Senior Manager for Tax and Regulatory Services at Deloitte Ghana, Mr. Gilbert Yuenchi Addo, has admonished small and medium businesses to take advantage of available incentives for startups and young entrepreneurs by studying Ghana's tax laws. He explained that Ghana's tax regime came with a number of concessions that cushioned small businesses. However, due to the lack of knowledge, entrepreneurs failed to take advantage of these incentives. He spoke on Joy Business's advisory series, a 2-week program aimed at equipping SMEs with financial and business development insights for the new year.
Unfortunately, you could see the drive based on how the tax law is structured. It's geared towards manufacturing. So for those who find themselves in those sub-regions, we have what we call the young entrepreneurship tax incentive. These are tax incentives that are given to young people who are below, or they are up to 35 years and below. And you're expected to be in this stream of business activity. Manufacturing, information and communication technology, if you're into agro-processing, energy production, waste processing, tourism and creative art, horticulture and medical plants, as well as basically these are the stream of the activities, and you are granted a tax exemption for a period of 5 years. If you find yourself in any of this region and you are a young person who is 35 years and below, what are the steps that you'd have to take? You just have to notify the Revenue Authority with the requisite documentation to show that you're a young person who is into this business venture for you to be able to take advantage of this tax concession. Other than that, I always say that the best form of tax planning is to comply. And there are 3 cardinal pillars when it comes to taxation. Your reporting requirement, your filing requirement, and your payment requirement. And all these things are backed with sanctions. I always term them as giveaway tax planning measures. People don't give credence to that. But if you flout that, cumulatively, you could be paying a lot in terms of interest and penalties. So what must you do? You must ensure that you have a solid and a robust reporting system that drives your accounting.
And that's how we cap off business for this news bulletin. Handing over back to Sweetie Abochi.
Well, thank you for staying with us. That wraps up the news bulletin on the AM show. But stay, because Dr. Kwame Asasante will be joining us to review the newspapers, and he is the head for the Center of European Studies at the University of Ghana. We're back in a bit.